Hey, happy Comic-Con. It's Comic-Con, baby. Hello and welcome to a very special Comic-Con at Home episode of Up at Noon at 5, brought to you by Sega's Yakuza Like a Dragon. I'm your host, Brian Altano.
And I am the rival host, Max Scoville. Up at Noon at 5 is IGN's premier off-topic comedy variety show, which is usually just an excuse for us to mess around and talk about stuff we're genuinely really passionate about. It's also not really a secret that I'm kind of IGN's resident Yakuza fanboy. So I'm pretty happy that our goofy little show is sponsored by the next entry in the series, in all honesty.
Max, what is going on with our costumes? Because you've played about 100 hours more of Yakuza than I have, but
yeah,
you did arrange for me to get into this ornate outfit, so let's talk about it.
What we're doing here is called hazing. I'm wearing the suit that I actually got made to dress up like Kazuma Kiryu, who's the sort of the hero of the last 7 Yakuza games. The new one has a brand new protagonist, so it's a great jumping on point for anybody. And you are dressed as Goro Majima, who's sort of Kiryu's longtime on and off sort of rival. They fight constantly, but they're also friends. They'll go do karaoke together. It's great. It's really, you learn so many great lessons about just, well, friendship, but also fashion. I genuinely realized we should have like a snakeskin jacket for you, but this kind of came together last minute, so
yeah,
we're doing what we can.
We based it on what Amazon could get in time, and Amazon couldn't deliver their shirt, so I did go to one of the only places in San Francisco that still does tattoos and get this arranged entirely. So this is permanent, and that is my dedication to you, Max, to promise that I will crush through every single one of these games. Speaking of which, Yakuza Like a Dragon is an all-new installment launching later this year on Xbox Series X, Xbox One, Windows 10, PS4, PS5, and Steam, so there's a good chance you own something that can play it. And if you're getting a next-gen console, there's an upgrade path planned for both platforms, smart delivery on Xbox Series X, and more details coming for PS5. I feel like I did a good job reading all that, considering I only have one working eye.
You're doing good. It was also announced today that Like a Dragon is getting a full English dialogue track with a great cast, including the legendary George Takei. And I got a chance to speak with George Takei about his role, as well as 2 of the head guys working on the Yakuza series, executive director Toshiro Nagoshi and chief producer Masayoshi Yokoyama. That is coming up in a little bit.
Yep. We have a huge show planned for Yakuza for the next hour. But first, a friendly reminder that tomorrow is a massive day for everyone, video gamers, nerds, comic book fans, everything. Microsoft's Xbox Game Showcase kicks off at 9 a.m. Pacific and basically rolls straight into our Comic-Con at Home coverage, which, if you're just paying attention, will be going for the next 5 days.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. We're going to be streaming panels, as you can see. There's Star Trek on CBS. There's also Marvel's The New Mutants, and then there's Amazon's The Boys. Also, apparently it's Bugs Bunny's 80th birthday, so that I guess he's doing some Bugs Bunny stuff, which is good. Yeah.
Yeah, we should have planned more. I hope he gets some fun presents, like maybe like an exploding cigar or a portable hole. There's a lot to work with. I mean, what do you get for the bunny that has everything? Anyway, as you might have guessed, my ridiculous getup, it wouldn't be Comic-Con without cosplay. So all day tomorrow, you can show off what you're dressing up as for Comic-Con at Home with the hashtag best cosplay on TikTok. Be sure to follow IGN on TikTok while you're at it. You can also tweet at us with the hashtag IGN Comic Con, and your tweet might even show up later on the stream, and you'll be famous, which is great.
Now, let's talk a little bit of Yakuza. We're going to be doing a lot of that, and if you're a stranger to the series, we're also going to do some kind of basic primers to get you on board. And like they literally gave me a chance to talk about my favorite video game series for an entire episode of my weird show that I do with my best friend. Like, why would you not go for that?
It's a good time to be alive.
Yeah, Yakuza Like a Dragon dropped a brand new trailer this morning, along with the announcement that it's getting the full English voice track. Let's take a look.
Everyone has a certain skill they bring to the table. Some people are like you, charging in head first without a thought. Let me make it up to you. Others cover your ass.
Stop right there! I'll buy you some time.
And some are better at cracking the whip.
I'm Saeko.
Well, this just got complicated.
We're risking our lives for a measly 5,000 yen. Chill out, man. We're probably not gonna die.
Let's get started, shall we? How about we don't?
Let's go!
To the heroes of tomorrow. Hey, how's it going?
Hi there, I'm KG Tang, and I'm so excited to announce my role as Ichiban Kasuga in Yakuza Like a Dragon. But I'm also super excited to introduce my friend here.
Hello, my name is George Takei, and I'll be playing the role of Masumi Arakawa.
I'm a huge fan of the series, and I couldn't be more honored to lend my voice to the official English VO. I also couldn't be more honored to be working alongside such an amazing cast, including the great George Takei.
Oh, you're too kind, KG. I can't wait for the world to hear our voices in the English release of Yakuza Like a Dragon.
And we are back. That game looks awesome. If you're just tuning in, thank you for watching Up at Noon live at Comic-Con at Home on IGN. We are streaming live on YouTube, Twitch. We are on TikTok, a million other places. Tic Tacs are available in stores right now if your breath is bad, so go check that out too. I want to shout out a quick comment that we got from Darth Lannister on YouTube. He said, just tuned in. Where is Max and Brian? No idea. Couldn't tell you. They're not here.
No, I don't. Yeah, they're hiding under parking cones or in sewers or something.
What's coming up?
So I got a chance to chat with George Takei, which is one of the most like Comic-Con things you can do. I actually did that with him literally last year. But this year I talked to him about his role in Yakuza Like a Dragon. Before we show you that, here is an exclusive behind-the-scenes clip.
Hey, a new century is about to start, and I know you don't want to spend the first week lying in a hospital bed. Get out of here before an old man has to crack some skulls.
I'm George Takei, and I play Masumi Arakawa. Arakawa is a committed member of the Yakuza, but he retains his humanity. He recognizes something in this young street urchin, Ichiban, and he makes a painful and costly self-sacrifice in order to save this young man, and he develops a paternal love for him. The Yakuza life is very constrained and rigid and hard and fast. And that's what makes Arakawa unusual, in that he's able to not completely become that.
Ichi, would you be willing to take his place?
Arakawa and Ichiban is a paternalistic one. He's brought this young man who's not his son and grooms him to be a good member. Harbor. And I saw my parents go through incredible anguish, but also their determination to get back on their feet and give their children a life. I have that personal life history, and I wanted to bring a little bit of that into the humanity that I found in Arakawa.
And welcome back to IGN's Up at Noon live at Comic-Con at Home. I'm Brian Altano. That's Max Scoville. Max, George Takei is great, isn't he? He's just the best.
He's a legend. He's wonderful. As I mentioned, we had him on our Comic-Con live show last year, which we, didn't do it from our homes. We did it from Comic-Con, like used to in the olden days. And he was just he was super pleasant. I remember he complimented our coffee table. And I was like, that's so sweet of you. And I wanted to talk to him about the coffee table, but it turned out it was a rental. It wasn't even ours. And I thought it was kind of so-so. But he was very sweet. He was a very, very nice man.
I just love him. Hey, do you think we can watch another George Takei video, even through one eye?
You know what? I think we can. We have another interview with George Takei about his role in Yakuza Like a Dragon. Look. Later this year, the long-running Yakuza series gets another massive installment with Yakuza Like a Dragon, and for the first time since the very first Yakuza game on PlayStation 2, this one is getting a full English language track with a star-studded cast led by none other than the legendary George Takei, who is joining me right now. George, thank you for coming by.
Good to see you. Well, live long and prosper.
The Yakuza games are, this is a long-running series, has been going on for ages. It's got to be something of a daunting task to jump into this series. Can you tell me a little bit about sort of how you were approached for the part and what was most appealing about it and really just what drew you to the character?
Well, my agent called and said, I've got an exciting project for you. It's about the Yakuza. And I said, oh, that sounds fascinating. What's it all about? And he said, well, it's a game. And he knows that I'm not a gamer. And so I said, oh, that means I can't do it, because I don't know how to game. But he said, no, they want you for your voice and your dubbing background. Just think of it as another piece of drama. And so I said, okay, if that's it, if I don't have to memorize a new, different world of gaming, then fine, I can do that. And that's how I wound up with this fascinating and really impressive project that goes in depth into the very tightly closed world of the Yakuza.
Now, you play a character who's Masumi Arakawa, who's sort of a mentor figure to the main protagonist of the game. Can you tell us a little bit about the character and sort of how you really sort of embrace that role?
Arakawa was born into poverty. Usually those that get involved in the Yakuza world are people that come from a background of poverty. And he rises, and he's a mature man now. He's lived through a lot of Yakuza experience. He's a composed man. He is completely a member of the Yakuza family community, and he recruits a young man that he thinks will be a good member of a useful member of the Yakuza family. He encounters him at a point of great distress for him, and he himself makes a great physical sacrifice. My very first gig when I was a young teenager, I got hired to dub in English dialogue onto a Japanese science fiction film called Rodan. And so I began my career doing that. And here I am still doing the same thing. But this one, because it's animated, it's not as demanding as my very first dubbing gig was, where I had to lip sync on close-ups. With the animated nature of this film, it's you don't have that lip syncing challenge. Just getting the dialogue in while the lips are moving, and it doesn't have to sync with the lip. So it was a much easier work than the very first challenging gig that I had more than 6 decades ago. I've been in this game.
I was gonna ask about this. That was pre Star Trek. This was one of your very earliest gigs, and I feel like both sort of the technology behind dubbing, but also the popularity and reception of Japanese media in the West has changed. I wanted to kind of hear your perspective on sort of what it's like seeing how localization has evolved over the years.
Well, what really impressed me is the depth that they go into in telling a Yakuza story in this gaming form. It's a very esoteric, very closed off, very demanding society, Yakuza is. Think of the mafia with all its codes of honor and loyalty and fealty to the upper members of that society. And that in Japanese, sort of like if you also know something about the samurai culture, it's the extension of the samurai culture in contemporary times, but it is severely demanding. And once you commit to it, it's a total life commitment. And yet, within all the rigid requirements and commitment that you make to that society, that humanity, that compassion in that core being is what comes out in the story of Arakawa's relationship with Ichiban.
Now, for a lot of people, I think especially right now that no one can really travel anywhere, the Yakuza games are a phenomenal way of sort of getting to immerse oneself in Japanese culture and sort of, virtually visit Japan. As a Japanese American who's very familiar with Japanese culture, is there anything aside from the sort of complexities of the, samurai Yakuza code that really sort of jumped out at you in how the story is told or sort of how the characters interact with each other?
It's the human relationships. Despite these codes, there is a unique and singular relationship between Arakawa and Ichiban, and how they face some of the challenges where the human compassion comes into conflict, and how they overcome that or don't overcome that is the great drama in this, I think. Think
Wonderful.
of the Godfathers, the family relationship, the literal blood family relationship. In this case, Arakawa's relationship with Ichiban is not blood, but in many ways it's stronger than a father and son, a blood relationship, and it's the Godfather and the kind of sacrifices of the family, literal blood family that one has to make. It's that kind of almost inhuman human relationship that contributes to the drama and the poignance of this story.
Well, George, I am dying to see your performance firsthand later this year when Yakuza comes out on Xbox One, PS4, Xbox Series X, and PlayStation 5. And George, it's a pleasure chatting with you. Love your work, and I'm still happy to see you out there doing wonderful new roles like this. Thank you so much for your time.
Live long and prosper.
And we're back. Max, I never realized you could do that. Not a lot of people can do that. Some people can't.
A lot of practice. I was just actually thinking, I think I probably offended somebody by I think you're not supposed to tuck your thumb in or something.
Oh, you have to keep it out?
Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I know I get mad at people who do who do that, which is like sign language for love instead of that, which is what Ronnie James Dio does. But anyway.
Anyway, speaking of sign language for love, that's enough of that. We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, more Yakuza, so stick around.
San Diego Comic-Con at Home is brought to you by Sega's Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Comic-Con at Home, Yakuza Like a Dragon, themed episode of Up at Noon, live at 5. That's a title. Max, you've been a pretty ride or die for the Yakuza games for a while now. Anybody who's listened to a podcast beyond, or like literally anytime you've been in front of a camera or a microphone, can vouch for that. I don't think you've gone a day without talking about the series since I've known you, and that's like for like 10 or 11 years now. At a glance, it's a bunch of sort of operatic, serious stories about Japan's criminal underworld, and you beat up a lot of dudes in the street, but there's so much else going on in this series, right, Max?
That's right, Brian. But no, seriously, I want to talk about this for a second. I think like a lot of people sort of you see like the weird GIFs online, and it's like some sort of goofy over the top action, and then you see maybe some like really dramatic cutscenes, and then there's a lot of people just sort of fighting in the streets, and there's a bunch of mini games thrown in there. What I really love about it is that like they're essentially like they're kind of variety games in that sense, and also like I don't know. We talk about like realism in games, but like I don't think I know anybody, or I really don't want to know anybody who doesn't have interests, or like who doesn't like to do stuff for fun. Like even the most badass, hardened, tough guys, like you'd think that like, well, right, what's your hobby? Like, what do you do in your spare time? So this series has done a really good job of like throwing in sort of like little games on the side, like historically in the you play as Kazuma Kiryu, and like he'll sometimes wind up playing baseball or going spearfishing, or maybe he's managing a hostess club, or maybe he's doing stuff that's way weirder than that. And it's like, I was thinking about this. The scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where Brad Pitt is just feeding his dog?
Yeah.
Like, I love that scene because I feel like that adds a lot to him as a character. Like, he's a badass stuntman by day, but then he goes home and he makes macaroni and cheese and he hangs out with his dog and he watches TV. And there's this kind of like this whole layer to sort of who he is as a character. And I like that. I don't know. It's almost unusual that we get games that have like, it's not so much that they're just mini games there for the player. It's almost like these are the character. This is the main character's hobbies. This is what this character is doing for fun. I mean, we got Geralt playing Gwent in The Witcher, which was sort of funny because like the fate of the land held, stood in the balance or whatever. But in Yakuza, it's like it's wonderful how they'll take either the mundane or the completely enjoyable and like really just gamify them. Like there's a whole mini game about calming a baby down, which by the way was before Death Stranding. Here's some karaoke. You got to check that out.
Which is super fun. I was laughing absurdly hard at this. Karaoke is obviously incredibly popular all over the world, but the Yakuza version is really sort of interesting because from a gameplay perspective, it's getting you to press a bunch of buttons on your controller that you don't usually press in synchronicity, especially when the songs start really ramping up and you're just hopping all around your PS4 or Xbox controller. There's also all sorts of goofy stuff that happens here, like background characters going nuts, like the bartender clapping and cheering, and this weird clip art animals will pop up, and like you were saying before, like the better you play, the more stuff that starts to happen here, and you don't really ever feel like you're punished too hard on it, which I really dig about this game.
No, I mean it's also like if you don't want to mess with that, like you don't have to, but like it totally nails that. Like the fun of karaoke is going out and getting drunk and singing with your friends in like a small room that you rented, but like in Yakuza, it's a full-fledged rhythm game that if you get really good at it, it totally nails that, like that surreal, like those like weird stock video, backgrounds that show up. There's also like there's disco dancing in Yakuza 0, like, which is, I feel like they could have done just a simple sort of, quick time event thing, but instead it's this whole full-fledged sort of rhythm game, which I'm playing here. I'm terrible at it, but even when you really suck, it kind of like, it's still pretty funny. Like you just start doing the gorilla, like a dope, and then like everyone just kind of like, you just like walk off like embarrassed. Yeah, like the series has this like the past 7 games basically have all these like weird little tidbits thrown in and out, and like you still get that super serious, crazy, big, massive story, but then there's all these little kind of pockets that you get to go explore and little things you get to go check out. And I don't know, that's sort of like, for instance, how many, like there's very few video games where players go to the bathroom, right. And there's even less where that's fully gamified. But in Yakuza, this is such a weird. This was in Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, where there are these
Milky
things.
Nose.
Yeah, this is a mini game called Toilets, which is an actual thing that Sega makes in Japan, which is a arcade urinal that you pee into to play, and it's to keep you from peeing every which way. It's to have you actually aim where you're going. But they made it a mini game, so it's I don't know, it's like an emulation of an arcade game practically. And then if you want to play regular arcade games, they got like Virtua Fighter outside of the bathroom, obviously.
I'm getting a call from Comic-Con right now, and they're saying that this is the world record of the fastest anyone has ever said arcade urinal in a Comic-Con live show. So this is great. This is opening day, and we've already broken the record. So great stuff, Max.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the sort of the stuff that keeps me around. Like, I'll get, I think if you just beat me over the head with something that's overly serious, I'll be like, if it's all consistently serious, I don't want it anymore. And if it's all too silly all the time, you got to have that kind of that balance. And I don't know, the Yakuza games have like really hooked me because they do that. Like if you want like some serious dramatic ass kicking, you go do that. But if you want to, I don't know, go to an 80s telephone club and do a weird quick time event to answer the phone and hope that maybe you get to talk to a cute girl, but then you have to do this weird thing where it's like dialogue options, but it's also a shooting game that it's just like, I don't know, you see that and you're like, what is going on here? There's even like it, and it's again like this is a game set in the sort of red light district, so there's a whole mini game of like boudoir photography, which is like it's like choosing dialogue options while under a time limit, so you're trying to like form coherent sentences while talking to a cute girl. There's one where you're in like a cam chat and you have to like hit button combos to type coherent sentences, and he's typing like, and it's just, I don't know, it's not the kind of stuff you'd expect from what's otherwise like a serious and fairly grounded franchise. So I don't know. Yeah.
I love watching streamers play this game because they will get like sad or cry about very specific elements and story beats and stuff like that. But then a second later, you're doing something like this, like hand collecting.
this is all stuff from the new one, Like a Dragon, and it's got I don't even know how like what is going like this is all like the crazy over the top stuff. It'll make sense in context, like that it will exist in this universe. You're gonna, I guess, fight a crane. That so like I don't know, what like, but yeah, I mean the fact that they're gamifying things like can collecting. They've added kart racing because why the hell not? And it's just again, you're still gonna get that over dramatic like that very heavy serious story. But if you get tired of it, you can go. There's a mini game about trying to stay awake in the movies. Where you have to like ward off sleep demons, like and then do tests. It's awesome.
And also in conjunction with all the sort of like classic Sega arcade games that kind of sneak their way into these things are really, really cool because it's sort of this. It's not only a celebration of like Sega as a company, but also sort of just the variety of excursions and fun stuff you can do in Japan in general. Like there's it also feels sort of like a fun thing to do now. I find myself connecting more and more with like kind of big open world games and fun things like this where there's a million different activities to do because I'm limited with the amount of activities that I can do now. And so, it's obviously been a weird year, but video games have kept us sane. So yeah, I mean something we've been talking a lot about this year, Max, you and I specifically, since we both love traveling, we traveled a ton together last year, is actually visiting other places. Normally, we'd be doing this show in San Diego right now, which is a beautiful city. And we always have a great time there. But obviously, 2020 has kind of grounded everyone. And so it's been difficult to do that. But thankfully, video games offer some of that experience in a virtual sense. And I think that a game like Yakuza or a series like Yakuza gives us an opportunity to feel like we're traveling somewhere or maybe going to some place we wanted to go to or couldn't go to or have been to before and walk around and interact.
I mean, I don't know. I think there's that compulsive need as gamers to like jump into a massive open world and just like complete the objectives and do the stuff and take out the outposts and like kill the boss or whatever. But like there's also like I don't know, what about just exploring? I don't know, like I actually don't know. Have you been to Osaka? I can't remember.
No, I haven't.
So yeah, like Osaka is I think my favorite city. Like we've both been to Tokyo a couple times, which is awesome, but like everyone was always like, you gotta go to Osaka. It's like kooky and fun and a great time. And like I was like, I don't know, Tokyo is pretty rad. And I went to Osaka and I was like, oh wow, it's just slightly different energy. It's like a little, but I'd explored it in Yakuza ahead of time. Like I'd poked around because it shows up in a few of the games, and I actually knew my way around some of the neighborhoods. Like I kind of had my bearings already because these games are like they might have like weird over the top stuff, like beating a guy near senseless with a parking cone in the middle of the street. You probably shouldn't do that anywhere, let alone in Japan. But there's also this like wonderful dedication to like actually nailing these specific neighborhoods. You've had your weird misadventures in Golden Guy in Kabukicho.
Yeah, so I've spent probably I think collectively about a month in Japan, and mostly in Tokyo and Golden Gai, Shinjuku, Harajuku, just all over the place, Roppongi. And so I think what this game really nails is sort of that feeling of wonder and excitement you get of walking down a street that is populated with people and lights, but also a lot of the sort of simple cultural things that we not necessarily take for granted here, but are just different in Japan. And so you appreciate them for what they are. The vending machines on the streets everywhere. Mm-hmm. The laundromats are a little bit different. The restaurants are a little more pronounced in their signage and stuff like that. And so, I'm always thinking about the next time I want to go back to Japan because I miss it a lot and I have a great time there. But obviously things are different right now, but I really appreciate that I can play a game series like this and walk around and do something different.
It's weird that we get like there's a whole travel channel, there's a Food Network, but like we don't really see that in games, like typically it's sort of like there'll be an open world game. But I think as far as like virtual tourism goes, like Yakuza comes pretty close where you can visit this exact existing place and like there's an entire, gamified thing of doing whiskey tasting or trying different restaurants. And, you're like, if you don't know what the hell some dish is or like, what the flavor profile of a 12-year-old scotch is, like this is a game that's sort of like, well, I guess that's a good way of sort of holding you over until you get to actually go, check a place out in real life. I hope we get to travel again for real at some point. But
me too.
In the meantime, yeah.
In the meantime, you can check out Club Sega in the game, which is really awesome because they have those all over Japan, and they're a really good time. Max and I obviously want to keep doing the show. We're going to keep doing the show and talking about Yakuza and all the other stuff. We also have some collectibles, but we do need to take a very quick break. So Up at Noon from Comic-Con will be right back after this.
San Diego Comic-Con at Home is brought to you by Sega's Yakuza Like a Dragon.
And welcome back to Up at Noon, live at 5, live at Comic-Con, at home, live at IGN, at 5, at home, at noon, live, the #1 most live show happening right now on this specific channel, if you're watching this channel live in your home. We did it, ladies and gentlemen. We did it. A huge round of applause for us here, the #1 show that you're watching right now live.
It's such a thrill, Brian. I've never won anything before, especially anything so specific. Anyway, speaking of exciting, next up, I'm sitting down with some of the fine folks who are working on the brand new Yakuza game to get them to spill all the secrets that they are allowed to spill and that they wanted to tell me. I tried, but they're keeping those secrets. Anyway, let's check it out. Later this year, Yakuza fans and newcomers to the Yakuza series are in for a treat with Yakuza Like a Dragon. Joining me now to discuss it are Yakuza series executive director Nagoshi-san and Yakuza series chief producer Yokoyama-san and Amelia, who will be translating. Gentlemen, madam, thank you for joining me. Now, on the subject of translation and localization, this is the first Yakuza game since the original Yakuza on PlayStation 1 to get a full English dub. And on top of that, it's also getting a multi-platform launch. So it seems like it's in a really good position to attract a lot of newcomers to the series and get a lot of new fans on board. I was wondering if you could talk a bit about what the game itself is doing to kind of onboard new players to the world of Yakuza.
プレイステーションというハードを中心に、展開してきたシリーズだったんですけれど、今回大きく、Xbox シリーズであるとか、ハードが広がっているので、特に新しい人たちにこのタイトルを広くプレイしてほしいと思っています。で、シリーズファンの方だったら、ご存知かもしれませんが、今回、主人公が実は変更されていまして、春日一番という新しい、シリーズの顔が登場させていますので、新たな気持ちで、これまでの予備知識なく、好きなだけ遊んでいただくことができる、ちょうどいいタイトルに仕上がっていると思いますので、そこら辺はすごく作り手としても期待しているところです。
Wonderful. Now, I wanted to talk about Ichiban Kasuga because he's an exciting new character. I'm dying to get to know him. I feel like I know Kiryu very well at this point. Pretty close with Majima, but this is a brand new character to me. And I was curious, as creators, where did the character come from, and sort of how do you feel he differs from previous Yakuza protagonists? And sort of how has his character evolved over the course of the development of Like a Dragon?
いや、別にいいや。こういう感じでやるんですよ。で、大丈夫。いや、これは答えようか。まずですね、旧作ファンの方は昔出てたキャラクターがすごく気になるとは思うんですけど、そのキャラクターたちも要所要所では登場してきますし、そういう意味では旧作のファンの方も安心して遊んでいただける部分もあると思いますけど、何より今回は、新しい主人公になって、その新しい主人公の新しい魅力に触れてもらうことが我々は一番の願いですし、ただ桐生とある意味で正反対の性格というか、キャラクターを作ったことによって全く違う龍が如くになるんじゃないかっていう心配もしてるプレイヤーも多いと思うんですけど、龍が如くチームが作っている以上はですね、その龍が如くという作品にふさわしい中身には必ずなってますから、どちらにしても安心して十分楽しんでもらえる作品になっているとは思います。ついでに言うと、龍が如くのシリーズが、桐生のシリーズが長かったので、そこでもっと違う主人公の話が作れたらいいなっていう願いも僕自身もチームの方もあったりしたので、逆に今まで桐生ではできなかったドラマとか、桐生では 作り得なかったテイストっていうのを、今回思い切ってぶつけることができた分、そういう15年間分のこうストレスを発散できたというか、そういう部分も含めて魅力的な作品だったと思います。
Beautiful. The Yakuza series has had a huge surge of popularity in the West over the last few years. Aside from it just being a really good series of video games, did you have any ideas of sort of what led to this, or what allowed this to happen? Because there was, the first game came out with an English dub, and then it sort of seemed like it kind of went away for a little bit, and then it came back with Zero, and just everyone got really excited about it. And I was interested if you had any thoughts on what led to that.
正直言うと、僕らも海外で、のユーザーに理解して売れてほしいなっていう願いはあったんですけど、やっぱり僕らが作ってるものって欧米のスタジオのそのいわゆるメガトレンドなゲームとはちょっとやっぱりテイストは違うと思うんですね。やっぱグローバルに通用するとはいえグローバルニッチなものを作ってる部分もあるので、やはり癖も強いと思うんですよ。ただそれはそれとして、やはり、王道なものを楽しむユーザーも多い中で、先日そのアカデミー賞もとうとう韓国の作品がグランプリを取ったような時代にもなった中で、いろんな今オンラインの時代が始まったわけじゃないです。もうだいぶ時間が経ってますけど、いろんな国のいろんなテイストの作品を楽しむということに世界中の人がもうだいぶ慣れてきたというか、そういうものを求める声が日増しに強くなってきた結果が、こういうゲームの世界にも反映してきたんじゃないかなっていう気はします。龍が如くという作品がこうね、映画界のパラサイトのような存在にゲームとしてなれるならば一番嬉しいなと思います。
I love it. Well, was there anything else you wanted to add about Yakuza Like a Dragon?
日本のゲームクリエイターと欧米のゲームクリエイターと、ゲームを愛して作っているっていうことは同じなんですけど、やはりドラマを作ったりする中で特に人間ドラマを作る中ではやはりこうフォーカスしているポイントがちょっと違うと思うんですよね。でその違いがやはり僕はむしろ面白くて、そこに多分人種を超えた気づきみたいなものが多分僕はあると思ってるんですよ。でそれが、単にユニークだなっていうことで終わるんではなくて、今まで気づかなかった他の、コミックや映画では気づかなかった気づきみたいなものが新しい感動を呼んでくれるきっかけになってくれることも僕は十分あり得ると思うので、龍が如くという作品を通じてですね、またこの新シリーズを通じてそういう体験をしていただけたらいっぱい幸せかなと思います。
Wonderful. Well, Nagoshi-san, Yokoyama-san, thank you so much for your time. Amelia, thank you for translating. I am dying to get my hands on Yakuza Like a Dragon later this year. And you watching at home, you have no excuse not to play it. It's coming to everything. It's PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PC. It's on everything. It's got an English sub, it's got Japanese audio, it's got subtitles. Figure it out. Play Yakuza. Please, I beg of you. Thank you so much.
And we are back. Max, good job back there.
I did what I could.
Up at noon, at 5 at Comic-Con at home. We'll be right back after this very quick break. So please stick around because we want to hang out and show you some toys.
San Diego Comic-Con at home is brought to you by Sega's Yakuza Like a Dragon.
All right, and we are back. This is Up at Noon at 5 at Comic-Con at home, a very Yakuza episode, which has been an absolute fun time because I get to wear an eye patch and read a teleprompter. So that's
how's that going for you?
It's good. I'm going off script a lot, and so I think that's the way it's supposed to go.
You raised an interesting point just while we were on the break there. You said, I wonder what my daughter's going to make of this, and honestly, you look like the alternate dimension horrible villain version of normal you.
Yeah, I mean, it's never too early to learn about, the worst thing your father could become if he had an eye patch, a beard, and grew hair. In just a little bit, we're going to take a look at some of this year's convention exclusive collectibles that we got our hands on a little early. But first, Yakuza is a video game series with 7, soon to be 8 mainline entries, and it's been around for almost 20 years. So surely it must have mountains of officially licensed collectibles for fans to fill their homes with, right, Max?
You would think so, but weirdly enough, it doesn't. But that made it very easy to pull together a quick sort of speed run of all the Yakuza collectibles that I'm aware that exist. There might be more of them out there, but here are 11 or however many of the coolest, weirdest, rarest Yakuza collectibles, which is not counting, collector's editions of the games, the stuff that comes in those, swag they give away at events, or like rare PSP spin-offs. But rapid fire, really quick. Here are some of the Yakuza things that are out there. This is the 1/12 scale Figma action figure. We have talked about Figmas many times on the show before. They make all sorts of wonderful, Nintendo characters. They've got they got a bunch of them, but they make one of Kazuma Kiryu here, which is great. It has tons of articulation and accessories. This is the only thing on this list that I actually own, and it is because these got super stupid expensive really fast because I think they're like limited edition.
Right. Yeah,
and
these
they
are
also
some of the
made
best action figures you can buy. The accessories, articulation, paint, everything. Their little stands are great. This does he have it's like an energy shot?
Yeah, it's so that's like you'll be pounding those soon enough if you stick with zero. But like those are the various energy shots you chug in the game. Some of them charge up your health, some of them charge up your heat. But I like that they included that. Like we don't usually get action figures with like health items. And I think there's a deluxe version of this that came with a parking cone, which is a common, weapon. They also made here's some photos of me posing it. It's a good toy. I just wish that it wasn't so hard to track down because there is a counterpart. There is the Goro Majima version, which is it goes for like easily over $200 on eBay.
What?
Yeah, they're super hard to find. And yeah, that's a bummer because I want them to fight. I want these dolls to play with.
I'll come over and kick your ass if you want.
Yeah, that's fair. That works. They do have some sort of more recent ones. There is a company called Asmus, I think, which is doing these little guys called Cubits, which are kind of like limited articulation, little kind of chibi, mini figures here. There's
they're
one
like
of each of these guys,
which they can stand on their own, which is cool.
Yeah. I'm into it. I love that Kiryu's got his intense, like just kind of standing there version, and then Majima's just got his waving a knife around like a psychopath, like he does. And then this company also does these. These I think they're supposed to go for like $20. I think you can still track them down online for somewhere under 50, which is for import collectibles not insane. But I mean I'm not wild about little super deformed people. So anyway, they also do ultimate action figures like super high end. These are not 12-inch or like 1/6 scale. They're like 8-inch figures, but they've got all sorts of bonus hands and cell phones and baseball bats and wristwatches and stuff like that.
I'll be honest, man, I love bonus hands.
Bonus hand. Who doesn't love a good bonus hand? These will run you probably. I don't know. It depends on if you can even find them. Maybe $150. Like I said, I went to Japan last year or 2 years ago, whenever the hell that was, and poked around to try to find any Yakuza stuff, and didn't really have any luck. I couldn't find it out there. But there is this Majima one here. He's got his little hard hat. He's got his megaphone. It's good stuff. But yeah, these are probably $150, which is for like a clothed figure pretty okay. Then there's this, which I found, which is this is a Synapse Majima PVC figure. This is the only thing on this list where they made a Majima, but they didn't make a Kiryu, which is like, okay, that's a bold move. He's got this removable snakeskin jacket. This one is like, I looked on eBay. There was one listed, and it was listed for like $1,000. I think it might have been a claw machine prize. Like I don't know for sure on that, but it's definitely not an easy one to track down. And they're pretty pricey. There are these little guys. Actually, I lied. There's one of these I have on this list. There are these unofficial Yakuza hinge pins.
Those are
on Etsy. Somebody picked one of these up for me at TwitchCon last year. They were just selling it at like a little booth. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing is in the Yakuza games, they just like the dudes like rip their shirts off when they fight because that's like, I don't know, that's what dudes do, I guess. But these are cute little pins. And I'm not really a pin guy, but I'm into it. And then finally, easily the weirdest thing on this list, they make officially licensed Yakuza cologne, which is available only at Don Quixote department stores in Japan.
That is amazing. That bottle art is incredible.
I wonder what it smells like.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like the Majima probably has like a much stronger, more aggressive odor. But I don't know. Like Kiryu's got this very serene kind of like, yeah. Anyway,
we'll
so
see.
there we have it.
Cologne's a weird flex in 2020 anyway, because you don't really go anywhere. So
you can't smell anything on the.
It's good for yourself. Maybe we'll get some new merch to go alongside Yakuza Like a Dragon, which I'm very excited for. But Max,
you know what else is like a dragon? Godzilla.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got this Tamashii Nations Monster Arts Godzilla, this is confusing. This confused the hell out of me. I was like, are they sending me last year's leftovers? This is Godzilla 2019 as he appeared in the hit film Godzilla King of the Monsters, which came out in 2019, but all the packaging says Godzilla 2019. I was like, is it the 2019 exclusive? But no, this is this year's exclusive. This is from Bluefin Collectibles, sent this over. You can find this on p-bandai.com if you want to pre-order it. $88. It's got tons of points of articulation, but also it's a big chunky Godzilla, so you can really only get away with so much. And he's got this interchangeable jaw, which you can swap out with his atomic breath, which is, it just kind of looks like he might be barfing Four Loko. It kind of goes really either way.
Yeah, this is I would say one of the most edible looking Godzillas I've ever seen. This is very adorable what you did for him. Yeah, are those little Japanese like eraser sets you get?
Yeah, they're almost to scale with the dolls, but then look at this. What if he was a rude boy and just ate all this big pile of rice?
This is a beautiful film you made. Oh my god!
Thank you. What a nice little movie. I'm entering in some festivals. I'm really hoping that comes together.
Yeah, but anyway, you should bring this over to Quibi and see what they're doing. They might take it. I like it a lot.
But yeah, you know what else? You know what else is kind of like a dragon is a
dinosaur.
Yeah, dinosaurs. Yeah. We're talking about dinosaurs. So these guys got announced first thing this morning. McFarlane Toys, we've talked about many times on this show, have ventured into a kind of a new market, which is less mature collectors. This is a line that's for ages 6 and up. You might know Cygor as the cybernetic gorilla who fights Spawn back in the 90s. They have just unveiled these. They're coming out in August. They're currently Walmart exclusive. I don't know if this is a hit, if they'll take it elsewhere. I love them. I mean, maybe we have brain damage and we're just like giant 8-year-olds, but I think they're just like so freaking cool.
I mean, I think these are like the perfect thing between sort of like, like weird animal action figures and then the kind of like more kind of higher end stuff that, big adults like us collect. They're super cool. They don't have a ton of points of articulation, but they don't really need them because their sculpts are awesome and the paint's awesome, especially for a kid's toy. This giant gorilla is like honestly one of my favorite things. I'm so happy
it's such a cool toy.
Like I want to make him a permanent part of my set back there because I love him. There's also this snake, which is great. I compared them to a bunch of my
snake on the right. Yeah.
These are a bunch of my I have a toddler, and this is a bunch of her garbage baby toys, and I wanted to compare them just to show you how cool Todd McFarlane's versions are, because the McFarlane toys totally eat all the baby toy versions.
Hell yeah.
These are much better.
We have a whole thing of these, or like a whole breakout package going up about these later on. I think tomorrow on our main Comic-Con at home live show. We got a bunch of other collectibles sprinkled in there, but they sent you something. They sent you something horrible, didn't they? You got something. Yes. You got something very bad in the mail.
I got a very interesting thing in the mail recently. This is the 1984 Olympics Gremlin, and to explain that, it's a little difficult. But this is basically a brand new NECA convention exclusive Gremlin, which is based on a really obscure and 36-year-old newspaper ad that was promoting the original Steven Spielberg, Joe Dante Gremlins movie against the actual 1984 Summer Olympics. There's the ad right there.
Only 70s kids will remember this crazy newspaper ad.
And so NECA's been doing such a great job of just like really digging into like deep cut stuff. And I think they've gone through a lot of the Gremlins movies and they've made a lot of the figures, but they also have a lot of fun. So this is the Gremlin himself. It's basically Stripe with some new stuff like underwears that he's wearing right there, which is nice.
Man, I love the Gremlins films. I think 2 is perfect cinema. I don't need a Gremlins toy with panties. That's weird.
Good for you. Lucky for you, the panties do come off, so you can remove the panties, and then you can.
You can't say that on this. You can't say that kind of thing.
You can remove Stripe the Gremlins panties, and you can put them in all sorts of beautiful poses like this.
Don't do that. Don't. We gotta. We can't say these things.
I think it's fine. He also comes with a torch. He comes with, some fake hair, kind of like I have, which you can pose, and it's great. And he's got these flippers too, which I think are just the cutest things, and a little sort of like a scuba mask. This is a deeply disturbing figure, but the paint's awesome. Articulation's really good. You can basically pose his ears, move his head, take it off. You can also close his mouth, open it. And I just really, really like this toy. It's super cool. Max, you have a bunch of these gremlins.
I have one floating around here. I've got the one who has like a chainsaw and a skateboard, and I have the weird, like the older one who does like he's flashing, he's like exposing himself, and he's got like a cigarette and sunglasses. Just they're such wonderfully bad. Just they're good toys. They're just bad things to own because they say things about you if you have them displayed proudly. You know?
Now these figures will run you about $30, and they're available in Walmart stores or online starting tomorrow. You can head over to NECA.store.com starting tomorrow, or go to Walmart, and you can get one of these horrible Olympian frog monsters in your hands too, and then pose it. Or you can take off the underwears and then just make a regular gremlin. It's a weird sentence.
We've got a bunch of other stuff happening tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific. We have got the panel for Utopia, Amazon's new original sci-fi show. That's followed up by Marvel's The New Mutants. And then at 3, Amazon's The Boys panel. We'll hopefully tease what's next in season 2. Those guys are a ton of fun. We got to talk to them. Again, I miss regular Comic-Con, but I'm glad we're doing it remotely.
Yeah, totally. Comic-Con at Home continues through Sunday. That's this Sunday. So right here on IGN or the IGN channel on your Samsung TV Plus. Plus, there's also Plex or Pluto. Those are things you can check this out on too. Plus Twitch, YouTube, everything else. Thank you all so much for joining us today.
Yeah, and huge thanks to you, Brian, for playing along with Dress Up and letting me just nerd out about Yakuza.
Yeah.
Thanks to our sponsor, Sega, and Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is out later this year. In the meantime, go check out Yakuza if you haven't. If you have Game Pass on Xbox, I believe Yakuza 0, Kiwami, and Kiwami 2 are all on Game Pass. They're regularly on sale on PC and PS4. Start with 0. It's a good time. Kiwami also works. 0 is longer and sillier and completely insane.
Yeah. And if this is your first Comic-Con or your 15th Comic-Con, thank you for celebrating with us, because we're really happy to be making this show. It's an honor to be here, and this is a blast. So in conclusion, Godzilla, dinosaurs, and snakes are all kind of like dragons, but gremlins are not really like dragons because they're more kind of like frogs, I guess. Or
that's
lizards.
That's true. Many things are like dragons, but not all of them. Not all of them so much.
Yes. This concludes our segments comparing things to dragons, presented by Sega's Yakuza Like a Dragon, out later this year on Xbox One, Series X, PS4, PS5, and PC.
Cool. I think we're done here for today. I think we also read one part of that twice, but I don't think anyone will be too mad about it.
No, it's okay.
Friendly reminder that before all the Comic-Con stuff starts tomorrow, we have got the big Xbox Series X game showcase from Microsoft that is happening at 9 a.m. Pacific, and we have a pre-show which I think starts at 8 a.m. So come hang out for that. Come check that out. And that's about all we're doing for today. I think we're going to call it a day. You can go scare your kid with your costume. I'm going to go upstairs and upset my wife because I drew all over my chin with her makeup.
Yeah, a huge thank you to our wives for lending us their eyeliner pencils. Mine said, just keep it, don't give it back. A few Comic-Con highlights for tomorrow. You already know about them.
We did it.
Stick around. We have so much coverage coming up all week long. So thank you for watching us here on Up at Noon Live. Tons of collectibles, tons of interviews, tons of panels. IGN's got your back all week long. So stick around and happy Comic-Con. I can take off the...
San Diego Comic-Con at Home is brought to you by Sega's Yakuza Like a Dragon.